I think I'm going to make this kind of a longer video where I'm going to go over an effect and then also do some sound design. I had left off on this patch, I believe. It was that ARP 2600 sound. And I had forgotten to do something in that video where I could spread the voices. And I was kind of mad at myself for not doing that. And I was thinking, instead of simply spreading the voices, why not use the next effect that we have to go over, which is the, what is it, that multi-chorus thing, multi-tap chorus delay. So first of all, let's check out what it would sound like if we did spread it. It's kind of nice. I really like the sound of it getting wider. So let's drop it back down and send it through this chorus unit. Since the last video, I did reorganize the effects routing a little bit. I am going into effect 6, which is then going into that same reverb that we were, and then a limiter that's off for now. I might end up using it later. So this insert effect is pretty neat. You can already hear it sounds kind of like a delay slash chorus. You can turn it up all the way wet to hear what it's doing. I got velocity on. I'll probably end up dropping that down in a little bit. While it's on all the way wet, we can really see what each individual thing does. I'm going to start by taking the feedback down to 0. That's controlling the amount of delays. And this unit is pretty neat in that since chorus is delay, it's just turning up, it's allowing you to turn up the delay time a lot. So I think it goes up to 1 second, down to 0. For now, let's turn it all the way down to 0. So the delay is happening instantly, and since we're only hearing the wet, it's effectively like only hearing the dry sound, as long as we have no depth on each of these channels. Let's take depth all the way down. Come on, why do you guys keep jumping up? And let's also turn level down for everything. Oh, we can leave the level up on the first one. On the first one, we could also center these. This is basically a completely initialized set. So here's what it sounds like with just one. So it just sounds kind of like a quieter version of the dry signal. And the reason it is quieter is because you wouldn't want to have, you wouldn't want to stack the voice 4 times, because then it would be a whole lot louder instead of sounding like a nice effect. I guess you do have dry wet, but I just think it's nice that they kind of temper the volume there a bit. So the first thing to easily explore is this pan, and I opened up a vector scope so we can see what that does. Pretty sure everything can be done in real time. Let's boost that input gain so we can really hear it. And I might as well just take off velocity now so I don't have to slam on the keys. Wow. And I could probably drop that down. So we're actually getting some width already. And let's see. That is because of the reverb. Let's take that off. We get a nice straight line. And these aren't exactly, we're not exactly mono because I am going out of the analog outs into an external, what is it called, ADA 800, I think. It's just that ADAT converter. But the nature of analog is like, it's really hard to get the wires to sum exactly the same. I mean, I guess if you have a nice mixer, then probably, but I don't. So we have this moderately mono signal, and then we can pan that around with this. Yep, and it works in real time. All the way left, all the way right. And the resolution is pretty small, 13 steps, 6 one direction, 6 the other, and then of course center. So you can hear it pan around there. So I'll just leave this on left 6, and then I'll put this on left 3, then I'll put this on right 3, and right 6. So again, we're only listening to this one, If I were to turn up the level of this one, I guess we would technically pan back to center. Yep. Just a bit louder at that point. Let's stick with the first one for now and check out the rest of the controls. We have this depth. Well, yeah, let's modulate depth. So we have this LFO right here. And so, well, I guess to help illustrate it, I'll do center. Let's turn up the depth. So this is modulating that delay line and then creating a pitch shift by modulating that delay line. I think it goes up to 30, yeah. You can hear it kind of sounds like a square wave. It seems to jump from top to bottom. You can see the pitch shifting happening here too. If we were to sum that with the original signal, it would just sound like chorusing. It's kind of a unison sound, or I should say, this is kind of just like a stacked voice. Now we have more of like a detuned unison. So now let's try panning that to the left. And you can see we're getting a lot of width at this point. Let's start stacking other voices. Let's go with the right one. Let me turn this down. So our right channel all the way up. Once I turn up the volume, actually let's turn on depth, turn up volume. And then we're hearing quite a bit of detuning. And that is the phase of this LFO on this delay / chorus line is at, it starts at 270. Let's try turning up the other ones, that's the middle ones, or the more middle-ish ones. Actually, I want to hear those in isolation. Let's do that. Oh, whoops, I'm turning up the depth, not the volume. Let's keep these depth at 30. Let's take that one down. I'm going to bring these level down. I don't want the depth as drastic for these. That sounds nice. And when we add more, we get really wide. I'm going to bring down the level on these ones so we're not adding a ridiculous amount of width. Without. And then, of course, we can also do delay with these. Let's turn it all the way wet just to hear what the delay sounds like. Eventually, I'm going to add rhythmic stuff to this because I want to build a preset later. I'm going to bring this down to halftime, so 90. I'd originally made it 180 because in the ARP, that was the tempo of like the passage that I had to recreate with Karma, but we're just going to venture on off a different path here. So let's listen to just one for now. Let's listen to that original one and have it center. And for now, we'll bring down the depth, and then let's try turning this up. So real fast, if I wanted to have these delays more or less tempo synced, I take the amount of milliseconds in a minute divided by the tempo, 90, which gives us beats. Wow. Which gives us 666. And so I'll look at what number is closest to that. We have 660 here. So I can make the wide ones around there. 660. And then, so that would be for a quarter note. Double that would, of course, be, let's see, times 2. would be over the limit that this goes. So these will be the long ones, and then our shorter ones would be eighth notes at 333. So let's do that for the inner ones. So we get kind of like a quick from center to wide when we play these. So 330 and 330. And then, of course, let's pan that back to the left and put the depth all the way up. Well, actually, let's listen to it again in isolation first. And so, if I have the dry and wet at the same volume, you can hear it's just delayed. And then we can control the amount of delays with feedback. And give it more feedback. Let's keep it around like 50, keep it pretty tame. Oh, that's cool, we can actually pan it live. Alright, let's put the depth up, drop down to 14. Let's start adding the other voices. So those are with wide delays. Wide modulated delays. It's kind of neat. And then we'll have the volume of the first ones. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Sounds pretty neat. That's really detuned, so I think I'm actually going to drop it down a bit. It's a crazy stereo image. Let's look at the vector scope. So I like that. That's fine. Probably end up dropping the feedback down. I don't need quite that many delays. And then frequency, I guess if we felt like it, we could actually make this the rate of some kind of tempo division. If I were to try to think through that, let's see. Let's figure out what 330 hertz is with our hertz to milliseconds converter. Looks like I have some Facebook notifications that we're going to ignore. Go to my widget tools. Milliseconds to frequency. Okay, let's say if we had 333, what would that be in milliseconds? Oh wait, I technically went the opposite way. Strangely enough, I think it is actually the same conversion. So if I had 333 milliseconds to hertz, that is 3 hertz. Just about an even 3 hertz. So let's put this up. And it's interesting because with chorus units, the faster the LFO rate that is adjusting the delay time, the more pitch shifting you're going to get. So by increasing the frequency in hertz, you're actually getting more detuning. That sounds nice. All right. Let's go on to do some sound design. So with the oh, by the way, like I think that's much nicer sounding than just the unison by itself. And also something else that I wanted to show while we're at it, it's kind of neat, is in the MDEX. Let's see, it's under other. In this little thing that's sold by Korg, we have the same unit. We have our 4 delay units, and then this is neat in that you can freely click and drag where you want things to be. So you can see we still have our pan, which goes from 6 one direction, 6 the other. So this is kind of like setting the sound in space with the amount of delay and panning. So that's pretty cool. And then of course we have our depth. per delay. All right, let's design some stuff. Take that out, put this down. So with the original sound, I'm gonna bypass these units for a second. Yeah, I'm bypassing both. Actually, real fast while we're here, I kind of want to hear what it sounds like with the reverb. It's pretty subtle, but I tried to make this mimic the ARP 2600 spring reverb as close as I could do it. But yeah, it's still there. I mean, let's see if we can notice the difference in the vector scope. Seems to very subtly be adding width. Sorry about my my throat here, but all right. So let's bypass these. We have our original sound, and I wanted to do something. Right now, we're getting the same phase start at every note, and I kind of want to see if I can change that a little bit. So I'm going to break the sound up into 2 programs. And then in the second one, I'm going to add this this ARP 2600 saw, which is 1092. And I'm going to let's see. Yeah, I took it off on this one. This is at 110. I'm also going to offset the start point of this square wave. So you can hear it kind of phasing from that chord. Sounds like pew. Now it's still there doing with the offset enabled. So I'm going to try to go into pitch, and I'm going to add just like 10 cents of detuning from LFO 1. And for that LFO, I'll be using a continuous for LFO 1 for both layers. And I'll enable key sync on so we get an independent LFO per note. We are still getting an initial attack that you can hear. But at least the phasing over time is less cyclical. If I were to take that off, we would hear cyclical phasing. Let's give that a listen. Let's try just one note. So it's like weird. And let's try putting this back on for both. It's quite a bit more randomized now. So it makes the sound slightly more analog. Still not perfect since the sample nonetheless is going to be starting at the same start phase every single note on, but you know, it goes a little bit of the distance. So let's see, what else can we do? Let's go to our amp, and we have a drive. I have to mimic that on this one. So let's see, what was our drive at? 21. And let's add some velocity again. Let's put it up to like 25. So now we get difference in velocity. So now I just kind of want to do some design work. So I'll just kind of really go through and see where this goes. Like I said, I think this video is going to end up a little bit longer because of this. So let's take our filter down for both layers. And I know that there is, let's see, I think I want some resonance. Don't need too much. 26 is probably fine. I do want the filters to be keyboard tracked like they would be on the ARP 2600. And let's add a little bit of velocity so the filter responds to that. And this is actually the intensity of the envelope. The velocity is affecting the amount that the envelope is affecting the filter. Now for the envelope itself, I'm gonna give it some attack. I'll be able to hear a lot better when both of them are on. 80 is probably too much. Yeah, it's super slow. Try 70. Let's turn the decay up as well to 75 and put it on linear. I want the attack to affect the velocity to affect the rate of the swell. So I'll just basically have it at minus 70. That way, full attack means that the filter envelope, or full velocity means that the filter envelope is happening immediately. And let's actually plug a bit of the filter envelope into our cutoff point. So it's pretty nice. It sounds pretty analog, and we haven't even added any width onto it via that chorus effect. Like I said before, we could add some stereo spread. Sounds really nice. Let's leave it mono for now. Alright, what else we got? Pitch is probably fine. Filter modulation is probably fine. Yeah, I kind of want to add aftertouch to modulate the cutoff. So filter mod, let's actually do an AMS mixer instead. Because that way we can put that all the way up. Actually, we'll put it at 50. But yeah, with the AMS mixer, I'm going to use this smoothing, and I have aftertouch in here. And then you can see I already plugged in the attack and decay. So basically, it makes it so the aftertouch is lazy. So. Just has a nicer response, in my opinion. Let's see. Got some drive already going on. I have tried out random panning before on this sound, but I think I liked the way it sounded without it. Don't really need any stuff going on with the LFOs. I guess we could kind of sync it for almost to have like rhythmic phasing going on. I guess that can kind of be a nice element. And I think we're pretty much done, but let's kind of keep going. Let's see what these chords sound like. I think I want there to be a bit more high frequency contents, or less high frequency content. So I'm going to take the amps and just drop the volume of the top end a little bit, the upper notes. Yeah, that sounds nice. And let's EQ the thing. Let's see. I don't want to go too crazy with the EQ. Actually hear clipping going on there. I'm boosting it by a lot. Basically, I was trying to find the ugliest zone there to kind of notch it out without the EQ. With the EQ. This makes it a tiny bit brighter and thinner. Which I actually don't want this to be like the, you know, the most beast pad ever, so I'm kind of tapering it. What else can we do? We could, I kind of want to see what it sounds like if we were to add width. Let's try those chords. It does sound nice and wide, but let's go back to mono. Since I do want to play chords with bass, I think I would rather have the stereo spread at center, just to, you know, not have super wide bass, just because that is not a desirable thing to have with mixing. Even though we are, you know, spreading it around, we can just kind of have the bass that, you know, slightly bit more centered. Oh, what else do I want to do? Let's add some drums. A little drum track. I'm going to use the drum kit's outputs, which is why I shuffled the effects around. I'm just going to use one of the standard kits with a regular drum loop. So there's a really annoying, like, I can't remember what you call those things. The that it's like a vibroslap, I think it's called. That kind of spinny sound. I'd actually made that sound before from scratch on a synthesizer just to see if I could. All the random percussion is on Insert Effect 5, so if I just route that to nothing, then we're left with the other elements. Now these toms should be on 3. Let's see if we can hear those. Yeah. So if I go to my insert effect, I know that the toms, which are making up the bulk of the sound, are on 3. I do have an EQ before I even hit the effects, going back to the drum track. Now our pad is a lot louder. So what we would have to do is go to our control surface and take down oscillators 1 and 2. Those toms are still pretty buried, so let me use an EQ to boost some, yeah, the high mids. So let's see, mid frequency at 320, mid gain here. That's fine. I want this to start at, wait for a keyboard trigger. We do want it on latch. And we can use Karma latch switch, sure. And we'll sync it to Karma as well. Let's see, if I were to turn on Karma, let's see what that would sound like. And I don't hear my drums. Let's get back to basic because I didn't enable it. It's pretty neat. I guess the last thing we could do is we could route everything to the insert effect 12, which has a mastering limiter. I'll go ahead and turn that on. And I'll route all those. Even though insert effect 5 actually isn't being used, I could just send that to the output. It might have some random percussion effect actually. Let's just send, well, even if it did, I guess since it's off, it's not going to matter. Yeah, let's mess with our mastering limiter, and then we'll call this patch done. So. Nice. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna actually use this preset for Lightbringer's little free sound pack that he's putting together, and I'll also have a link somewhere in here to like the original ARP 2600 video in case you wanted to like continue on from that sound design. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.